Hi, my name is Chelsea. You can find me at Cowboy Chels on all forms of social media. It's fall and I'm thrilled. I can't tell you how tickled pink I am to film this video. I love fall. As August ends, it is incredibly important to me to set the mood. It is silly when people lament others who decorate too soon in their opinion or go too hard for fall. We only have so much, okay? We only have this life, and sometimes it's shit. But you know what else I have? All the Twilight movies in VHS, and I'm gonna watch them. I'm gonna watch them this season so hard. If you're wanting to get into the spooky season, I highly recommend checking out your local library. Or if your local library is shit, you can use a VPN. Get a library card elsewhere. That's your business. I have movie, books, and a playlist for you. I went into the loft above our bed to gather decorations, and I returned with two guys. Frank, I'm sure you're familiar, and this guy. A lot of the movies that I'm gonna show to you today are on VHS. That's just a simple personal undertaking. To start us off, I have my Twilight box set of VHS. How cool. These are fan-made bootleg VHS with these really cool designs. They also are like extended versions with deleted scenes. I love and value them. Here is a VHS copy of Over the Garden Wall, which I'm so happy to have because apparently they've taken it off of HBO Max. And in fact, one of the creators went on Twitter and was like, I hope you bitches bootleg this. I personally didn't, but someone who made this did. Over the Garden Wall is incredibly popular for a reason. It's beautifully illustrated. The music slaps. It's about these two boys who get lost in the woods and try to find their way home through this whimsical forest, meeting creatures along the way. I'm getting like more and more excited as I'm continuing to film this. I have the X-Files movie on VHS, but you do not have to get the movie. I just recommend checking out the show. If you've never seen it, basically Scully is an FBI agent who gets assigned to work with Fox Mulder, an agent who is known for being spooky. He works in the basement on the X-Files, which is any kind of file that has a paranormal link or something that is unexplainable. And it's perfect fall fodder. The outfit's incredible. The glasses wire rimmed. I highly recommend checking it out. Okay, this one is a bit more niche, but it's so valuable to me. It is the Blair Witch Project spoof by the Scooby-Doo gang. It's called the Scooby-Doo Project. It aired on October 31st, 1999, and even though the Blair Witch Project was rated R and children were surely not watching it, Cartoon Network created this spoof of found footage-esque animation of the Scooby-Doo gang trying to track down what's going on in these haunted woods. And there's like fake interviews with people saying, you know, I talked to those kids, blah blah blah, they're missing. It is just so perfectly up my alley. I can't even describe to you how happy I am to have it thus today. Practical magic, need I say more? Do you like 90s fashion, big old witch houses, and murdering men? Check out Practical Magic. They're both in DVD and hopefully one day I'll have them in VHS. Coraline, this incredibly creepy story using stop animation, and it was originally filmed in 3D. The story about a girl who moves into a house, is feeling very isolated, goes through a secret passageway and discovers a alternate universe of her family there. I know that everyone is familiar with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series, but may I introduce you to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. Came out in 1992 and basically is the same premise of the TV show. A Valley Girl cheerleader discovers that she is the fated and destined slayer. Absolute classic. I'm a firm believer in the concept of either using children's books as coffee table books or zines. I don't have a coffee table, but I have a little dresser, putting this out on top of it just to kind of set a tone. It's a zine called The Final Girl: How Horror Movies Made Me a Better Feminist. Chris, Rose, and her stepsister grew up watching horror movies together. Rose takes us on a fun, smart, sassy tour through horror movies of the 1980s, analyzing the character tropes and celebrating the badasses who may not have been believed but fought to stay alive until the bitter end. What great fun. Let's get into books. I have sorted this into books that I think I'm not going to like at all and books that I'm actually really excited about. That's not to say any of these are bad books. I don't know that. I do know my taste, however. Here are 11 books to get you in the fall mood. I know that I was sent these Not Your Witch books, and I can't recall whether or not I purchased the X-Hex, but all of these to me are the same book. Essentially modern witches having their little rom-com moment. I know one of these was supposed to be Adam Driver or like Raylo fanfiction, but I don't know. It's one of these. The X-Hex by Erin Sterling is about a young woman who is a witch. She works at a witch's shop with either her family or like her best friend or something. Years ago, she dated this douchebag who broke her heart, and she was very drunk and in the bathtub and cast a little hex on him. 9 years later, he comes back to town, and it's clear that that little hex that never crossed her mind actually was affecting his life greatly. Not the Witch You Wed by April Asher. There's syrup in my mouth. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the book. Magicless witch Violet Maxwell wants nothing to do with alpha wolf shifter Lincoln Thorne. Okay, maybe I will like these. I don't know. Sometimes you just need something a little bit corny and a lot horny. This is a fake dating story between a werewolf and a witch. By the same author, but a different storyline, is Not Your Ex's Hexes, which is different than the ex-hex. And this is a romance between a witch and a half-demon veterinarian. I love veterinarians. Now we're starting to get into things that I think I'll probably enjoy a little bit more. Where Darkness Blooms by Andrea Hanna. I started this ages ago, but I was really busy and I just couldn't get too into it at the time. Not really going into it with any preconceived like, oh, I didn't like this or anything. I think I was just busy. But basically, women in this small town of Bishop keep going missing, including all of the mothers of a group of friends. And so all of the friends are living together in a house wondering what the fuck happened to their moms. I'm pretty sure either it was spoiled for me or I just like knew where this was going. But until I read it, let me telepathically tell you. The Ravenous Dead by Darcy Coates. I picked this up from the last bookstore whenever I was in LA. I didn't realize that it was a sequel and not the first. So I read the first one, was super excited for this, and then just decided to save it for fall. But it's very much like a cozy paranormal. It's about a woman who can see ghosts in a small town, and I think this particular one is she's connecting with the spirit of a serial killer, and she struggles with getting wrapped up in his energy. Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I know you read it. Everyone read it. I didn't. It is about a transgender Mexican boy who is struggling with his family's reaction to his coming out, and he's feeling like lonely or something, so he goes to a cemetery and sees a ghost of a boy who he likes. So I think it's kind of like a coming of age paranormal mystery. We'll see. The Witch and the Vampire by Francesca Flores. This is such a gorgeous cover. A queer Rapunzel retelling where a witch and a vampire who trust no one but themselves must journey together through a cursed forest. What I have gathered from the inside of this book cover, which is signed, is that one of these girls is a vampire, obviously, and the other is a witch, but I think that like they hunt vampires or they're enemies with each other. They grew up as best friends and had like romantic tension, and now they are falling in love. But with monstrous trees that devour humans whole, vampires who attack from above, the woods are full of danger. These next four I have extremely high hopes for. I have already read this. It is one of my all-time favorites. I read a copy and then I met the author. See, it says to Chelsea. That's me. She was super cool, and lately these stories have been on my mind. I want to read them again, very specifically while it rains in like a little coffee shop or something. Shouldn't be too hard as the rainy season has started here in Portland, and I'm excited. I have a feeling that I'm going to feel very at home here in the fall. The Once and Future Witches. I've owned this book for like 2 years now. My bad. Oh, by Alex E. Haro. I don't know if you can see it, but it has those super cool pages that feel like parchment. Thought it was gonna smell good, but it's just dusty. In 1893, there's no such thing as witches. There used to be in the wild, dark days before the burnings began. If the modern woman wants any measure of power, she must find it in the ballot box. I'm so excited for this. But when the Eastwood sisters join the suffragists of New Salem, they have to begin to pursue the forgotten words and ways that might turn the women's movement into the witches' movement. Stalked by shadows and sickness, hunted by forces who will not suffer a witch to vote, the sisters will need to delve into the magics, draw new alliances, and heal the bond between them if they want to survive. I am psyched to death. How I know I'm going to eat the absolute shit out of this. If you watched my last video, or the one before that, you might know that I've recently read 2 books that were set in the early turn of the 20th century, and I really enjoyed them, and so I'm looking forward to kind of going back a few decades into 1893. Can you see me reading this? My fall decoration? Immortality, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. I read the first last month and it was really good. I loved it a lot. It's a duology, so this is the sequel and the final one. It's a gothic romance about a physician who is a young woman or older teenage girl, I don't remember member named Hazel, who's very curious and gruesome and creepy, and I love reading about her little gross life. Apparently in this one, she gets dragged into the court taking care of Princess Charlotte, the sickly granddaughter of King George III. This one to me is maybe the least spooky out of all of these. There's no fantasy element to it. I mean, like, you could argue. I would say there's like an alchemy element to it. But the first one just involved a lot of like sickness and body snatching and dismemberment. So I felt like it was appropriate as we get into October. The final book on my list is Where the Echoes Die by Courtney Gold. I read her first book. I thought I was gonna be able to whip it out and show you, but it's called The Dead in the Dark, and it's very cool. It's a very good story. I was so psyched after I read it because I just really loved her writing style, and I felt very connected with the characters, which is unusual for a YA book. I don't typically feel connected with people past like a certain age bracket for myself. So when I got sent this, I was really excited. I have gathered that this is about a tale of two sisters who go into this desert ghost town in hopes to find memory of their mother. Their mother is passed, and yet they got this note in the mail in her handwriting that says, "Come and find me." No one remembers how they arrived in the town or really knows their sense of self, and so I guess it is a mystery. Maybe that one's not spooky. I might save that one for November. I have also created a playlist that is quite very specifically for when you are walking or driving or riding your bike, there's trees on either side of you, leaves are falling down, a little breeze in the air, and you're just happy to be alive drinking your pumpkin spice latte. You can find that in the link below, as well as all of the books that I've mentioned here. And thank you so much for joining me. I absolutely love coming on here and talking to you guys. Please leave your spooky book and movie recommendations below, as well as shows. I'm kind of looking for either an anime or K-drama that is very fall oriented. I've seen a few K-dramas, but I'm very new to anime, so if you have a recommendation, please share. If you enjoyed this video or these types of videos and you want to see more of me, I would love if you subscribe. It means just the absolute world to me. Have a great day. Bye.